Hello, social studies teacher friends. This video is to show you how to use the map skills instruction with grids. When I am preparing to teach latitude and longitude, I always start with a grid system. Grids are much less threatening, more fun for students. They've usually seen grids in math class, sometimes in science class, and even in real life. So students are a little more familiar with grids. I found that when I jumped right into teaching latitude and longitude with no preparation, and I started using terms like degrees north, degrees east, students got overwhelmed very quickly. And so I always now start with grid systems, and it goes so much smoother when I have prepared students with grid systems. When we jump into latitude and longitude, everything is so much easier. Teaching latitude and longitude is a piece of cake after students have learned grid systems. Here's what I do. I have an amusement park project that I use with students. You'll be able to find this with your freebies. When I give students this grid system, they also have a list of instructions, and you see it says design an amusement park. That's the instructions, and then of course the other is the grid system. So the first step, students will choose a name for their amusement park. What kiddo doesn't love creating their own amusement park? On step 2, they are going to finish labeling the horizontal and vertical lines on the grid. This is how the grid looks when the student has finished labeling it. When you first start with the grids, I would have students put their finger on letter A and then slide down letter A until they reach the 7. And sometimes it helps if they can move their one finger down and one finger across until they meet. Other students need to use a ruler, and that's perfectly fine with me. I would have them put their finger on A and then put a ruler on that first line, number 1. And then I would have them keep their finger on A and move the ruler down until they hit 7. And then that point would be A7. So a lot of times my special education students might need to use a ruler, and sometimes just kids who have trouble just visually tracking each of those lines. It gets confusing to them with lines going vertically and horizontally. So all kinds of students might need to use rulers, and that is perfectly fine. Just let them do it. If it helps them to keep track of the lines, that's what we want. So step 3, they are going to draw dots at point A7, B7, A15, and B15. And as you can see on the screen, that creates a rectangle. So this rectangle is the entry point to the amusement park. They will shade it and label it. Students will continue using these instructions to create their amusement parks. In addition to practicing the grid system, they are also going to get to practice relative location and absolute location. Relative location being a location in relation to where something else is, and absolute location would be an exact point. Practicing these skills will help them immensely when they get to latitude and longitude. This is an example of what one amusement park looked like once a student followed all of the instructions. I think that your students will really enjoy practicing with grid systems, and then you will be able to jump into latitude and longitude in a fun, creative, and successful way because you've prepared kids by using grids first. I hope you enjoyed this video.